Ladies and gentlemen, the play is the thing, with your host, Judy Sleed. Today's guest, Walker Vreeland. The radio chap. Yes, that's him. How delightful. All right, enough. Now your host, Miss Hungary 1971, Judy Sleed.
Wow, that's really wonderful. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. I have a wonderful playmate today. I call my guest playmates.
I love that.
Walker, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me, Judy.
So nice of you to take time out of your busy schedule. You have a radio show?
I do. I have an afternoon show that I host on WBAZ, which is a local East End station. And I've been doing that for a number of years. I've been hosting the afternoon show for about 3 to 4 years, and before that I did the morning show, which was very difficult because I had to wake up
early.
very early, too early, and I am not a morning person.
I know. I have to blame you for getting me up so early today because
I'm sorry.
to come here.
But Miss Hungry 71? Is that true?
I wish. No, I don't wish. No, he's just.
Amazing, though.
Yes.
What an imagination.
Right. Well, I always say I almost won a beauty contest, and the reason I didn't is because I didn't enter.
Well, you see, there you go.
Yes.
Nothing lost, nothing gained.
So, Walker, where are you from?
I am originally from New York. I'm originally from New York City.
Are you really?
I am. I was born in New York Hospital, which no longer exists.
Oh.
And I lived in the city in Manhattan with my family until I was 5. And then we moved to Baltimore. And I grew up primarily in Baltimore, although I grew up out here as well. So I started, we as a family started coming out here in the summer in, I think, 1980, 1981. And my family lives out here still. And I've been out here, like I said, about 7 years. It's definitely a different experience to work out here as an adult than
just go swimming.
to be a child coming out here. It was I had a different relationship with the place, and it was, when I was growing up, coming here for the summer, it was paradise. It was my favorite place in the world. But I never imagined that I would be living and working here.
So I imagine that it was work-related that you moved to Baltimore?
For my father.
Yes.
Yes.
What does he do?
My father is in banking, in investment banking.
Oh.
And he works for
Very interesting.
Deutsche Bank. And I believe, and forgive me if I'm not getting this right, if this is not completely accurate, but I believe he manages people's money, and before that he helped companies go public.
Very, very nice. Did any of that rub off on you?
Absolutely not.
Because I'm so bad at
Not
money.
one iota.
Oh, that's terrible. That's the best way. That's talent, I think.
Oh, definitely. You mean what my dad does?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Yes.
And there's a lot of it, and now I can see, especially watching him, growing up with him, I can see now that so much of what he does, or so many people who are in sales, working with money, do. It's really no different than any other job when you're working with people. I mean, you are acting when you are in sales as well. It's really about connecting with people and creating relationships. So in that sense, I feel a kinship to my dad, and I feel like I got that from his side. I feel like I got some talent from each of my parents, even though neither of my parents are in show business. And I don't think anybody, actually my grandmother on my dad's side was an actress. Oh. She did some amateur work and a little bit of extra work in film. But other than that, there's no one in my family that's been in show business. And so but I can see how I get my love of speaking and connecting with people from my father, and my love of music from my mom.
Oh, love of music. You like to listen to it or you play?
Well, I definitely love to listen to music, but before I was in radio, I was an actor and a singer. And I worked primarily in the theater, and in musical theater.
Whereabouts?
In New York and wherever I could get a job. So I would, I was based, I went to NYU for acting and for musical theater. And so I was based in New York for about 10 or 11 years, and I would work in the city when I would get work in the city, and I would work it regionally, and I did some national tours, and eventually couldn't really live that life anymore. And I needed something that was in the entertainment world, but had a little bit more stability.
Yes, I can.
And there's
see
not a lot of stability in broadcasting, but there's more stability. I feel like more you can build a following, you can build a personality in a market, and you can grow over a period of time. I guess it's no different than being in a Broadway show. The only problem is Broadway shows tend to close, and
Yes.
radio stations don't. They stay, unless someone buys it or shuts the whole thing down. As long as people like you and your ratings are good, there's been a home for me here, and for which I'm very grateful.
So how long is your show?
It's 4 hours.
4 hours? You have to be on the air for 4 hours?
It's a music station. So that helps me a lot. I'm not talking for 4 hours straight. I'd have no voice.
Yeah.
But yes, it's afternoons, weekday afternoons from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
And so we could listen to you when we're in a car.
You could listen to me in the car, at work, at home, online.
Do you know what number it is?
Well, out here in Suffolk County and southern Connecticut as well, it's 102.5 on the FM dial, and then nowadays, of course, radio stations are streaming live online, so you can listen online at WBAZ.com. So there you go.
So you play music. People give you their CDs, or you pick your own?
Not really, and I'm not in programming. I'm not a program director. I'm not a music director, so I don't know as much about that part of the business. But we are an AC station. WBAZ is an adult contemporary music station. So we play the gold records from the 80s and 90s, and then the top 40 hits of today. It's interesting, because what I love to do most is talk to people like you, talk to people in the community, business owners, celebrities, performers, and I love interviewing artists.
Yes.
And in fact, that's what my new interview series is based on. It's a podcast. It's called Interview with the Artist, and you can find that online as well. It's interviewwiththeartist.com. But that's really what I love most about my job, and what I feel I do best. I feel like that's where my strength lies. And my interview style is not really what you would find on another adult contemporary music station. My interviews the style of them sort of sounds like NPR, but the only difference is I don't consider myself a journalist at all. I never kid myself about that. I am not a journalist. I am a personality. I'm a person, and I'm different. I'm not like anybody else you'll hear on the radio. And there's so many other.
Great.
There
I
are
like people who are different.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nor do I aspire to be like the sort of the conventional radio DJ. And there are many radio personalities out there who are much better than I am, who probably have much better radio voices, announcer voices, you know. PLJ 95.5.
But you find you have a following, right?
Yes.
Well, that's important.
Yeah.
You must be doing something right.
Well, I think that what I am doing right is I'm being myself.
That's
Completely
the best way.
myself.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
not
that's
trying
what I
to.
do. I'm myself.
I'm not trying to play a radio host or a radio announcer. I'm not trying to pretend I'm someone I'm not. You know, there are pros and cons to that. There are, you know, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but I truly enjoy.
Well, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, everybody else will enjoy listening to you.
That's true. That's how I feel. I feel like when I'm
Yes.
having fun, my listeners are having fun.
Right. Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 2 younger brothers.
Where are they?
One is in Austin, Texas, where he works in commercial real estate, and his name is Taylor, and he's about to get married in September, so that's exciting. We're about to go to Austin, Texas in September. It's going to be hot.
Yeah.
And then I have another brother who's the youngest, who lives in New York, and he works in finance.
Takes after your dad.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and I guess you're in touch with them.
Yes, and we're very close, and we have I'm very blessed that I have a wonderful relationships with my brothers. We're all very different. I mean, we couldn't be more different, but we all have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, and we have a great time when we're together.
Yeah, that's good.
So
You said you've been doing this show for 4 years, you said?
yes,
And,
the afternoons, yeah.
And you said you were an actor before. Do you have any aspiration to do some more acting? There's a lot of theater out here.
There is, and sometimes I will do a reading of a play
Oh,
with
you do?
the Naked Stage, which is a company they
I know. I'm familiar
Yeah,
with
you're
the
familiar?
Naked. Oh, yes, I had 3 of my plays read.
Oh, that's
Over
fabulous.
there, yes.
So you know Josh Pearl and
I do. I know
and-
the whole crew, Josh. As a
And,
matter of fact, Josh Gladstone was my very first guest.
oh, I love Josh Gladstone.
Oh, me too.
What a talented guy.
Isn't he?
I actually had the opportunity to work with Josh back in May. I did a reading of a monologue that I wrote. It's an autobiographical monologue called From Ship to Shape. And I did a reading of it at Guildhall with the Naked Stage, and Josh Gladstone worked with me. He directed the first 2 acts, and we had a great time doing it, and his direction was invaluable.
He
and
is
he
so
just brought the
talented.
whole project to another level.
He read in one of my plays, and it was like for a young boy, and he did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
And he's just all around a very talented guy.
I knew him as an actor. I knew his work as an actor, but I did not know his work as a director.
Oh,
I knew
yes.
he was a director, and of course he's
Yeah.
the artistic director of Guildhall, but I'd never worked with him,
Yes.
personally as a director. And he brought the whole
He brought
piece
the
to
flavor
another
out.
level, and he
Yes.
clarified moments. He made transitions clear and specific, and it made the storytelling better. It made the telling of the story better. And by the way, it's a story about a nervous breakdown. And yeah, it's a true story, and it begins on a cruise ship. This was, probably over 10 years ago, and I was hired to be the lead singer on the Norwegian Crown cruise ship for Norwegian Cruise Lines, and it was not a great situation. It was very disorganized. There was no rehearsal schedule. There was no stage manager. There really was, it was just total mayhem. I had to learn 2 shows in 5 days, and they expected me to dance, to be a professional, like have professional dance skills, which I did not.
Yeah.
And so I ended up leaving, but I wasn't in great shape when I got on the ship to begin with. So it was a sort of a catalyst, and it was it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I sort of unraveled from there, got off the ship, and my life sort of unraveled from there. But it's about that, and I feel like no one talks about their issues, and very few people are open, and understandably so. It's stigmatized. Mental health issues, mental illness is stigmatized. And I think the more we, and this is one of the reasons I am doing this monologue and have done this monologue and want to talk about it now, because I think the more we can open up a dialogue about it and be honest about it, the better off we all are, and the more we'll all feel supported and less alone, I think. Because it really, the story is about not only this breakdown, but how I then rebuilt my life and put myself back together after falling down.
So you're also a playwright.
I guess so. I don't, it's interesting. I don't consider myself a writer. And then I did this reading in May, and, several people came up to me afterwards and they said, "You're a writer." I thought, okay. I don't consider myself a writer because I don't write every day necessarily. And I feel like the discipline required to be a writer,
Is to write every day.
I have such respect for writers that I would never call myself a writer, even though I have the, I am inspired to write, and I certainly was inspired to write about these series of events in my life, and they were instrumental in helping me survive it. I wrote as a means of survival, and so it wasn't even about, oh well, I'm going to be a writer now and I'm going to write this piece. It ended up they were all journal entries, and by the time I had written pages and pages and pages, I thought to myself, well, this could be a one-man show. This could be a monologue. And I have always been a huge fan of Spalding Gray, who sort of created the genre of the autobiographical monologue. So with that in mind, I put it together, started to structure it differently.
Do you have any plans for this play?
Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day with someone, and I have a lot of ideas, and I think the most important thing is to get it in front of as many people as possible who are in the business, because I am open to any avenue. I think it has the potential to do many things and go many places. I think that if someone came up to me and said, okay, well, this could be a memoir, I would say, okay, I can do that. Just put me in touch with the right people and let's make it a memoir. If someone else came up to me and said, well, this would make a movie, great, let's make it a movie. Let's make some money.
Yes.
Or not, let's just make it a movie. Or I was thinking about, what about the idea of bringing this monologue to hospitals? Because when I was, shut away in a mental institution, I would have loved to see a one-man show about. And by the way, there's nothing more fun than reliving your nervous breakdown on stage. It is so much fun. And so anyway, I thought about that. I think it would be not just entertaining, but educational, both for patients and mental health professionals.
And do you think, is it necessary for you to do it, or could somebody else do it too?
That's interesting. I've never thought about that, but maybe. Someone else could do it.
If somebody would say, okay, let's put it on Broadway, that would take you away from what you're doing, and you'd have to be there all the time to do it.
I'd certainly be fascinated to see what someone else would do with it. It's so close to home that, and I've been working on it for so long, you lose some perspective over time, and so it would be really interesting to have different people work on it. There's somebody else, another actor doing it.
So how long is it?
It's about an hour and 15 minutes.
So you're on stage for an hour and 15 minutes, and you're talking constantly? No.
Yeah.
You're talking constantly. There's no gaps, like you like thinking and then, you know.
Oh, sure. There are moments like when I was talking about Josh Gladstone's direction.
Yeah.
There are certainly moments of transition and moments of thoughtfulness when
Yeah.
there's a internal experience going on. It's not just
Sure.
all chatter coming at
Yeah,
you
well,
all at the
that's-
same
yeah.
time. There are peaks and valleys, and that's really, I think that's what it's that's what my intention is, to sort of take you on this journey and to simulate I guess, rapid mood swings in the structure of the piece in itself. So it's sort of reflective of what I went through experientially in terms of my highs and my lows, and I think that the monologue does that as well. It takes you very high, it takes you very low, and every place in between.
So you have plans on bringing it back on stage, or?
I'd like to do it again out here. I'm doing some private I did a private reading of it, sort of an invite-only reading of it last week, and then I'm doing another invite-only reading of it next week. And then I'd like to, I'd love to bring it to New York. I'd love to do it off-Broadway. It's just a matter of getting it in the hands of the right people.
So what does your family think about your success?
They're very supportive and lovely people, and they have always been so. They've always been supportive of who I am on every level.
Did they come to see the play?
Yes.
Everybody, even your two brothers?
Yeah, one of my brothers has not seen it. One of my brothers has in an earlier incarnation. But in general, my family is incredibly supportive and supportive of every project that I'm doing, and
That's wonderful. So your radio station is in Watermill, you said?
Yeah, we broadcast out of Watermill.
And where do you live?
I live in Hampton Bays, and I'm about to move to Sag Harbor, which I'm excited about.
That's closer.
Just found a place in Sag Harbor, yeah.
Sag Harbor is like a quaint little town.
It's so cute. It's so magical.
Yes, yes. So you'll be close. You don't have to travel so much.
Where do you live?
I live in East Hampton,
That's lovely.
and we are in Wainscott now. I always have to think where I am.
Yes.
We're in the Hamptons, I have to think about now which town are
Right,
we in?
right.
Yes. So with all this, if you would have to make a choice, what would you do? What would you like to do best?
That's a tough one, because I still, even though I'm no longer an actor, I still have
I feel we are actors all the time. We're acting
that's so
every
true.
day.
And that's what I meant when I when I talked about my dad, being in sales.
Yeah.
There's acting involved there. There's acting, being hosting my show in the afternoon. That's acting.
Yes.
This right now, it's all acting, but I do still have the bug. I would like to not. Sometimes I don't want to admit that. But when I do my monologue, I cannot deny how much fun it is to act again after so long, having not done any stage work for so long. It's so much fun, and I'm good at it. I'm trained. That's where all my training is. I have much more training as an actor than I do as a radio show host. And that's what I meant when I said I don't pretend to be someone I'm not, and I know that there are
But you
other.
don't have to. You have enough talent of your
thank
own
you.
to be somebody else.
Right, but I like to say, because I have such respect for all the art forms, and I know it takes an incredible amount of work and discipline to be a radio DJ, a radio host. I know there are a lot of people out there, that's what they've always done. They didn't take this acting path and then switch gears and become, they've always been in broadcasting, and they've had many more years to hone their skills, their on-air skills, and I'm working on it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
How much choice do you have what you do at the radio station?
I have a lot of freedom, which I'm very grateful for, and that's, you know, again, it's an unconventional radio station. It's a very unique, WBAZ is a very unique radio station because it's unlike any other adult contemporary music station. You know, what you hear, you're never going to hear somebody like me on another adult contemporary radio station. I mean, the kind of interviews that I do, you maybe hear interviews on other AC stations, but they're 4 minutes and there's, you know, there's music in the background going.
So the people you interview have actually nothing to do with the music that you play. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Oh,
Every
so
once in a while, I'll talk to a musician who happens to have a single that we happen to play. But in general, no, they're community based, and when I say that, I mean anyone who either lives here, works here, or is coming through town to perform at one of the venues that we have here, whether it's Bay Street or the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center or Guild Hall or the Patchogue Theater even. We have all these great venues and so many incredible people, many of them enormous celebrities, and I really do, I have a passion for talking to artists.
So you say you're there for 4 hours. How many guests do you have in one show?
Well, I don't always have a guest every show. I do also do entertainment news, and I have this girl, Amy Cerullo, who joins me in the 5 o'clock hour for our entertainment reports. We have a lot of fun. So I don't have an interview, a special guest every day, but when I do, I enjoy myself, and I feel like because of my background in the arts as an actor, I can connect with other people in the business, whether they're stand-up comedians or musicians.
It's a wonderful show. You sound like you're a lot of fun. I want to thank you for coming and sharing all this with me.
Thank you so much, Judy, for having me.
I want to say I had my hair done by Lupita before I came.
Oh, honey, you were looking fabulous today.
And I want to thank my underwriters, without whom I couldn't do this show. Among them are Bill Miller, Paul Monty, Taylor Cohn, Colin Maher, Paul Brennan, and Irv Ackerman, my dear friend in California. And you could see me out here 5 days a week, and in Manhattan, Tuesday nights at 5:30, and of course on YouTube.
Wonderful.
So
it's been so much fun.
yes.
I'm so glad you had me, and thank you so much.
Well, it's my pleasure. You're a very interesting individual, and you have a lot to give, and I wish you luck.